member of the Canadian Parliament. You heard him there, sir. What I'd like is for Canada to become our 51st state. He said it before. He just said it again moments ago. Your reaction?
Well, what President Trump also said is that the tariffs will not come off until we give up our birthright and our sovereignty to a convicted predator. That is never, ever, ever going to happen. So what Donald Trump has done is unified Canadians in a manner I've never seen before. And while Americans may be waking up to the tariffs, we've already started the pushback. People in Kentucky, did you know that your biggest export market for spirits is Canada? We just took everything off the shelves. California, did you know that the largest purchaser of wines in the world is the liquor agency in Ontario? You don't get any more California wines in Ontario. Elon Musk, our premier, just canceled a $100 million deal today. Canada is getting ready for this fight because we know that he's erratic. It may be this week, it may be next week, but there's a huge actual boycott going on in grocery stores, ordinary people stopping me on the streets. Nobody is buying anything that comes out of the United States right now because we understand this is a threat to who we are as a nation.
There are also Republicans here in farm states concerned about ingredients for fertilizers that come from Canada as well. There are a myriad of products that we are just learning about as Americans. Fascinating, although perhaps not under duress to learn about them. He's obviously looking for some kind of concession. You hear him. He talks about Colombia. He's talking about Mexico and the 10,000 Mexican troops. And I know you view him as unreasonable, to say the least here, but do you think that ultimately Canada might end up conceding, or is that not even a possibility?
Well, I think the issue is that Donald Trump is claiming that Canada is a narco state. The man's a liar. So would we put some more money on the border? Sure. I'd love to put more money on the border to keep American guns from shooting our people on the streets. We would do that to avoid a trade war. We're reasonable as Canadians. But when you have somebody threatening our sovereignty, well, we're hunkering down for a fight here. So yes, for people in the grain growing belts, potash from Canada is essential. For the tech people, critical minerals, we've already had our BC Premier talk about shutting off the critical mineral flow. Wood, you need that. But the big issue, and I think it was raised by some of your previous panelists, auto. The auto sector is so integrated that within a week, even without the retaliatory trade pressure from Canada, you'll start to see Lansing, Toledo, Bowling Green start to sputter and go down because this is just-in-time delivery. Our whole North American economy is based on this. So that Donald Trump thinks that Canada is his biggest enemy, the guy wouldn't stand up to Putin. He gives a feather to China, but he's going to pick a fight with us. Well, if that's the way it's going to be, we will be there pound for pound. It's going to hurt us a lot, but the American people are much more divided than we are right now, and we are unified. So we wait to see what comes next.
We're going to see this call, or hope to see soon what comes of it. It's supposed to take place in about 45 minutes. Would you say then that Canada is going to call his bluff, or is already calling his bluff?
Well, we've already announced, I think, $125 billion in retaliatory tariffs. We will give 21 days pause so that our companies can start to retool before we launch the next level. We've already started pulling off a lot of American products off the shelves prior to this. I'm hoping that our prime minister will cut a deal. I think with Donald, it's so important that he looks like he's won something. I mean, this isn't gunboat diplomacy. This is really, I don't know, like Al Capone in his syphilitic period trying to do a shakedown. So, yeah, we'll make concessions on something that, you know, he can write a press release about. But on key areas, Canadians would hunt our leaders down if they bowed and kissed the ring to the man from Mar-a-Lago. It's not going to happen. So we shall see. I'm hoping that we can get through this and get back to work with our American cousins.
Sir, thanks for being with us. Canadian MP Charlie Angus, we do appreciate it.
Senators' hockey game over the weekend, the American anthem was booed because we do feel like we are your friends, we're your neighbors, we are your allies, and you guys are really lucky to have us on your northern border. The fact that you have this safe, secure, friendly country on your northern border is foundational to American prosperity. And now you're slapping us in the face. I mean, the tariffs against Canada are higher than the tariffs imposed against China. What's going on here, guys?
It's Ali Vitale. I have a question for you in regards to the way that these tariffs have been put on. The Trump administration is saying that it's because they want to stem the flow of fentanyl through borders as well as illegal immigration. But in your conversations and in the conversations that these governments are having, do you have a sense of what the Canadians would even have to say to get these tariffs removed and appease the administration?
Well, thank you for the question, Ali. And the fact is, these tariffs are being imposed truly for utterly no reason. The pretext offered is the flimsiest pretext possible. Less than 1%, in fact, around 0.2% of the fentanyl that comes into the U.S. comes through the Canadian border. If border security were the issue, this could be solved in 5 minutes. We want a secure border, too. We would like to stop the illegal U.S. guns that are smuggled into Canada and cause deaths on Canadian streets. And we are very happy to work together to not have asylum seekers cross in either direction. The president has also directly threatened our national sovereignty. He has said over the weekend that if we were to become the 51st state, there would be no tariffs. Canadians really, really, really are angry about that. And I do want to say, we want to be your friend. We want to be your partner. We want to be your neighbor. We're good at that. We've done it for decades and decades. But we are proud of our country. We're really proud to be Canadian. Our sovereignty is not negotiable. And if you hit us, we are going to hit back, and the whole country is going to be proud to do that.
Well, and Canada has been, Mika. Canada has been our friends, our allies, our best trading partner. And again, as Chris just said, and so many Americans need to understand that, the fact that the longest peaceful, contiguous border in the world is the northern border that starts at Maine and goes all the way over to Washington State. And the fact that we don't have to have troops on that border because Canada is such a good friend. Again, this is, again, for so many Canadians, just shocking.
So, also a friend, Christia, who was on Morning Joe in the early days, along with all of us, sharing her political analysis. She is educated steeply, not in just Canadian values, but American values and the American Constitution. And so to your question of what's going on here, guys, Christia, I ask you, imposing tariffs on a friendly border nation, what do you think is going on here? What's your assessment of what's happening here?
You're the Americans, and I'm going to leave that up to you. But
wow.
I do have a message for you, which is we are a great ally and partner. There is an exit ramp here. There is a win-win here. For all of our history as countries, we have been great, mutually beneficial partners and friends. Ronald Reagan famously said, "We're more than friends, we are kin." And he said that the Canada-U.S. relationship is the best, the most mutually beneficial relationship between two countries in history. Ronald Reagan said that. He was a...
Canada, when you talk to Justin Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you at 3 p.m. when you talk again to also secure a pause, like you said, with Mexico?
I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals that are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him, and you maybe know or maybe not. We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting, and we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariffs?
Well, we can always, but look, What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know what it is.
So, folks, Canadians are united and responding proudly and definitively. The first step is complete. There's been a partial back down with Mexico. The second step is complete. Trump has already backed down from 25 to 10% on oil tariffs. But critically, what Canada has gotten Trump to admit, and this is where it's really going to piss off the swing American voter who does not like what's happening, is that it isn't even about prices and it isn't even about safety. Remember Trump's original thing. This is going to help America. It's going to make our goods cheaper, not more expensive. Total lie, but that's what he said. And he said also, I'm just doing this until they make the border safer. But now he's saying it's actually about annexation. Americans do not support that. Progressive Americans don't support it because you guys actually respect Canada as a sovereign people, a friendly nation, but not your nation. And even a lot of conservatives don't like it because even though they're MAGA cultists, they don't want, 40 million new Americans that 75% of them are going to be loyal Democratic voters, right? So, no one wants this. So getting Trump to admit, putting out a powerful response, but getting Trump to admit what this is really about, to rip the mask off, is going to turn the tide of opinion against him even harder on both sides of the border.